She's the smartest person they could find. So they sent her to do this. And the reason is this, because they are desperate to make this a story about Trump and Epstein. And the only thing we found out in the last week is that it's a story about Democrats and Epstein.
Correct.
You got Larry Summers asking for dating advice from Epstein. You got Hakeem Jeffries trying to raise money from Epstein. You got Plaskett being programmed by Epstein. They lost the narrative, so they sent out their smartest person, Jasmine Crockett, to try to reset the narrative, and it blew up in their face. They may regret going down this road.
He did something that I didn't see coming. He said, "To hell with it, open the files. I'll sign to open the files, no problem." And the first words that came to my mind was, "Uh-oh." Because Donald Trump is not going to do that if it's going to be something that significantly hurts Donald Trump. He's going to do it if, dare I say, he's got something on other people. Because that is who we know him to be, ladies and gentlemen. That's what it is. There's no way around this. And sure enough, one of the first names that came out was Larry Summers, who worked as the Treasury Secretary under the Clinton administration, who worked on economic policies for Barack Obama, who was religiously associated with the left, who was still teaching at Harvard, and then ultimately had to step back and step away from public settings and things of that nature, scale back his role within the last 24 hours because he was one of the names that appeared in the Epstein files. He was somebody that knew Epstein. He was somebody that kept in constant contact with Epstein. He was somebody that Epstein had influenced and coaxed Epstein into donating millions upon millions of dollars to Harvard University. I mean, in excess of $9 million. Okay? This is the kind of stuff that was happening. And you found yourself saying, "Oh, damn." And ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to tell you, that's exactly what you should be thinking.
What's going on, everyone? Talk Skinny here today, and welcome to the show. This is going to be like a vindication on my part, because earlier, way before, while they were still in the midst of squabbling about the Epstein files, I made a video saying, hey, I think the Epstein files are going to hurt the Democrats more than it's going to hurt the Republicans. I debated my brother-in-law over this stuff, so this is why I keep having Epstein on the top of my mind, because my brother-in-law thinks that Trump somehow is involved in this. And it just don't make logical sense to me, right? Sorry, he watched my videos, so he knows. But I always say, yo, why would Trump sign something that was gonna hurt him? Like, would you do that? Like, I'm just asking a question. If you were in the Epstein files and you had power to yay or nay it being released to the public, would you do it? Majority of people gonna say no. But Trump is going to be the rare person. Okay, make it make sense. But hey, everyone's allowed to have their opinion. But I want to keep speaking on this point because Jasmine Crockett made a big boo-boo on live, right? As you saw from the intro, Scott Jennings, that's my guy, all right? That's my guy. Yo, common sense is truly the revolution on the right. I'm just saying. The day common sense became a right-wing ideology is the day that Democrats had no chance to make sense anymore. Because when you got even The View calling you out for this misunderstanding, not misunderstanding, lie, you know it's bad.
Both sides of the aisle are hurling accusations about ties with Epstein. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett had to walk back false claims against some Republicans. Even she is involved here. And House Oversight Committee Chairman pointed the finger at Democrats. She is the chairman.
Folks who also took money from somebody named Jeffrey Epstein, as I had my team dig in very quickly. Mitt Romney, the NRCC. Lee Zeldin.
My team, what they did is they Googled, and that is specifically why I said a Jeffrey Epstein. Unlike Republicans, I at least don't go out and just tell lies. Because it was not the same one, that's fine. But when Lee Zeldin had something to say, all he had to say was it was a Jeffrey Epstein. He admitted that he did receive donations from a Jeffrey Epstein, so at least I wasn't trying to mislead people.
Okay, it is also false that Mitt Romney and the NRCC took money. What's the NRCC?
The National Republican Congressional Committee.
Okay.
And she named Lee Zeldin, who also did not take
So
money.
It's not true that they took money from Jeffrey Epstein? Yeah. So is this...
It was a different Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah, it's a different... It's so confusing
but Joy,
and annoying.
This is why people get so frustrated with politicians.
Yeah.
Something horrible was done. We all agree on.
And it just goes to show, I think the Democrats are really going to regret this, right? Check this out. Michael Wolff, the journalist who we just learned was coaching Epstein on how to gain leverage over a presidential candidate, said in an interview that Epstein has a growing suspicion that Donald Trump was the one who informed on him and set the stage for his legal troubles beginning. This is something I always go back to, that you guys want to talk about circumstantial evidence about how Trump can be involved because of the fact that there's a 40-year picture of him and Epstein. But then you don't want to look at other actions such as Trump kicking out of his Mar-a-Lago country club, the fact that Trump had separated ties with him, right? Y'all don't look into none of that. But then the Democrats, who still received donations from him after he got convicted for possibly trying to bring a girl into prostitution ring, right? In 2013, when he got convicted around there, 2011, 2013. These people that Stephen A. Smith just learned, Larry Summers, Stacey Praskett, it goes on and on and on. These people still, after the first offense, before we found out about the item, before we found out about everything else, he was already convicted of something around the realms of sex trafficking. Democrats still took donations from him, still communicated with him, right? Well, Epstein's legal trouble truly began in March 2005, and Wolff was pointing to a 2004 real estate dispute over a Palm Beach mansion. In these newly released emails, we get this line: "The dog that hasn't barked is Trump." That stuck with me, and then voila, it clicked. The phrase "the dog that hasn't barked" comes from a Sherlock Holmes story called Silver Blaze. In the story, the stable has a guard dog. On the night of the crime, the dog did not bark, which meant the intruder must have been someone the dog knew. Otherwise, it would have barked. So who was redacted in that emails? Virginia Groff. I always mispronounce names, guys. Sorry. Whose name Democrats redacted. Epstein wrote that he was 75% there, meaning 75% sure it was Trump as a silent informant. Now, I'm going to leave it at there because I'm tired of rehashing the same stuff, but these are the narratives that Democrats, these liberals, progressives that are so desperate. You could smell it on them, to try to pin something on the Republicans, trying to pin something on Donald Trump. And it's blowing up in their face in real time. As you saw, Stephen A. Smith, he already acknowledged, he's like, yeah, this is a bad move for the Democratic Party. Jeffrey Epstein announced he has donated money to the Democratic representative, Jasmine Crockett of Texas. I think this is the Jeffrey Epstein that Jasmine Crockett got mistaken for. The announcement came after Crockett ripped Republicans for accepting donations from this doctor, Jeffrey Epstein. Now, that's some ish, isn't it? That's some ish. Oh, I do research. Unlike the Republicans, I do research. Yeah, faulty research. You Democrats, this is my problem. Democrats do research enough to prove a conclusion that they have. If they already have a prescribed conclusion about something, all they need is some semblance of evidence that suggests their conclusion, and they stop researching. That seemed like the Democratic Party. That's what Jasmine Crockett just admitted to us live in national news. And now she embarrassed herself. And her and the Democratic Party. Jeffrey Epstein had more influence and connection to the Democratic Party. This is a backfire, guys. There's no way, like, logically, the Democrats and these progressives can spin this. And this is why they keep desperately trying to switch it on Trump. But it's not working. It's not sticking. Because people are going to go, this horrible president had to step down? Wait, wasn't he Bill Clinton's Treasury Secretary? Wait, didn't he help Obama write his economic policies? He's stepping down? Hey, wait, aren't you a Democratic congresswoman from the Virgin Islands, Stacey Praskett? What are you doing talking to Jeffrey Epstein and trying to help him? He's helping you trying to get Trump. And somehow Trump's associated with... Make it make sense. But this is what liberal journalists want you to focus on. How Trump's connected to this. Right? But if you want to ask questions, why you ain't asking how Bill Clinton is connected to this? Because Bill Clinton, based on his actions, he seems to be more connected to Jeffrey Epstein than Donald Trump. Bill Clinton was the one that was pressuring Vanity Fair not to release Virginia, one of the victims, the name of the lady that got her name redacted. He didn't want her story out. So he pressured the Vanity Fair not to release it about the sex trafficking stuff in their article. Jeffrey Epstein visited Bill Clinton's White House 17 times. How many times he visited Donald Trump's White House? Big O, 0. But the left is desperate to put this guy, right? The left will take Jeffrey Epstein's word about Donald Trump, but don't want to look at the evidence. Don't want to look at any of the circumstantial evidence that suggests otherwise. Make it make sense. And this is why I talk about that. The left do not like critical thinkers. The left believes in dogma. The left believes in narratives. The left believes in lies. That suits their political interest. But I digress. I think I want to focus on some of Stephen A. Smith's commentary here, because I think obviously he's very entertaining. It's very entertaining to listen to. But I think as someone on he represents someone who's not into politics like I am, right? So he helps kind of center me and be like, okay, this is what people are paying attention to. Oh, this is why people are gravitating towards the story, because it's so hard, in my estimation, for the Democrats to push this narrative. And the funny part is they're the ones who asked for this fight. You know what they say? Don't ask a fight that you can't finish. This is what the Democrats Party has done with the Epstein stuff. But without further ado, let's wrap up the video.
It should be, oh, damn. Because that's just the first shoe to drop. Why is Larry Summers bothered? Why does he have to step away? Why has his reputation been impugned to some degree? It's very, very simple when you think about it. The reason that it happened was because there were emails. And those emails revealed that this man that had been married for decades was asking Jeffrey Epstein for dating advice. And we don't know all the details about it, but this man that had been married for decades needs dating advice. Obviously, it wasn't to date his wife. And not only was he communicating with Jeffrey Epstein prior to Jeffrey Epstein being arrested and indicted back in 2007.
Hey, I'll say this in his defense. I'm not defending him. I'm gonna mock him with this one. He was Bill Clinton's Treasury Secretary. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Maybe Bill had a negative influence on him. Maybe. I'm just saying. All right, because we know what Bill was doing. We know what Bill Clinton was doing in the White House. So I'm not too surprised that someone who worked for him, man, he's dabbling in the same behavior. And this is what I'm talking about. This is a massive backfire, incredible backfire. Since the shutdown, the Democrats have been losing on the cultural stuff, on the cultural narratives. And the funny part is they're the ones who asked for this fight. That's the funny part about this. They're the ones who started the fight. And then when the Republicans come to finish it, they want to switch to something else. They want to change the goalpost, right? This is baffling to me. This is why I said people in the middle Americans can't support the Democratic Party. If this is what they're wasting their time doing, they're crying about healthcare this, healthcare that. But what they're focusing on, trying to tie Donald Trump to Epstein. I digress. Let's get back into the video.
2008, whenever it was, this was a year before Epstein had committed suicide, reportedly. In like 2018. And he's in there asking for advice on how to pick up this woman. After the man had been associated with sexual assault and sexual offenses of minors, you were still communicating with him. Is that somebody that you asked for dating advice from? He did. And then as you look and you scour the internet and you see old footages, we've seen old footages of Michelle Obama. We've seen old footages of Barack Obama. We've seen old footages of Bill Clinton. Ladies and gentlemen, do you really, really think that Donald Trump is going to sign off on releasing the Epstein files and not have a boatload of stuff that he's going to throw in the Democrats' direction? At some point in time, we got to fall back to what one of my boys, Jeff Brown, in L.A. said. He said, Trump has become a verb. The name Trump has become a verb. He's trumping the Democrats at every turn.
That's why I wanted to do this video. I think, Say what you guys want about Stephen A. Smith. Some people get on me. He's like, Kenny, why you like Stephen A. Smith so much, man? He don't make no political sense. But Stephen A. Smith, to me, he's like a temperature check. How is someone who's like maybe moderate to low involved in politics, how do they view what's going on here, right? Because it's easy for me, you know, it's easy for people to write off my opinions about this. Oh, Kenny, you're lean right individual. Of course you're gonna say this. Of course you're gonna do this. Of course you're gonna say that. Of course you're gonna believe that. But Stephen A. Smith's the opposite of me. He's a center left person in my estimation. This is my estimation. You guys can have a different estimation about that. But that's why I want my channel to be a place, a forum of discussion. I don't care what political opinions you have. If you're an American, I welcome it. Even if you're not an American, I'll welcome it, honestly. Because this is some of the insanity that we're dealing with over here. We got problems with the economy. And apparently, this reports that come out that, you know, prices are down. But in a day, we're stacked on top 20% inflation from 4 years ago. So it don't feel that way. But, you know, Trump, he's trying to do his thing. But I honestly, I agree with that statement. Trump has become a verb. He's trumping the Democrats, literally. He's trumping Madami, literally. I just did a video of Madami. That's why it's still top of mind. But at every corner, they can't beat Trump. Because I believe the reason why they can't beat Trump is that Trump actually has a destination. He actually has a goal, what he's trying to accomplish. And it's easy to reverse engineer and do moves that help you win. And Democrats, all they care about is doing what? Answer me for me in the comment section. Opposing Donald Trump. That's all they care about. So Trump goes, so your whole political goal, the only thing that unites you Democrats is to oppose me. Yup. Oh, okay. I don't want to release the Epstein files. We need to release the Epstein files. Here's the conclusion. You release something that disproportionately hurt you. Like this is the funny part is Democrats, I don't know if they're dumb or their Trump hatred is just that strong. They should have known this was going on already. Hakeem Jeffries 2013 asking this guy for money. Yo, that should have been the first right. Hey, yo, you know you asked him for money 2013, right? In the beginning of your political career, right, Hakeem Jeffries? I did. You do know that Jeffrey Epstein, 89% of his political donations is toward the Democratic Party. You know that, right, Hakeem Jeffries? Right, Chuck Schumer? Because Chuck Schumer was one of the people that took money from Epstein. Make it make sense. And because they need to oppose Trump, right? You get this outcome. Trump goes, I don't want to release the Epstein files. Or Democrats come running. We need to release that thing. And then they say, okay, what? That's why I joked around on this channel. I think this is an original joke for me, but you know, I digress. But one of my original jokes on this channel was if Trump came out and he said he was for gun control, the Democrats would scream, no, we shouldn't be for gun control. Trump is trying to be a dictator. You don't see? If we ban guns on Trump's demands, we won't have nothing to resist him and his dictatorial dictatorship. This is how the Democrats will spin it if Donald Trump says, I think I'm for common sense gun control now. No, this is a step for him to be a dictator. Tell me I'm lying. Let me know if you think I'm lying in the comment section. I feel like someone should coach Donald Trump and actually say that and see it play out in real time. Played like a fiddle, honestly.
Playing them like a fiddle. Now, I don't know whether this is true or not, but I know there are people that believe that. And the reason why you got to have attach substance to it because what else would make sense? You got a 2026 midterm election coming up. You think Donald Trump's going to do something to harm himself and damage or compromise his legacy with what he's trying to get done, whatever that may be? You think he's going to do that? He's not going to do that.
And this, if he does, and this is where it goes with my commentary before when Stephen A. Smith got all that backlash for criticizing Jasmine Crockett. I bet Jasmine Crockett wished she was listening to Stephen A. Smith then. And this what validates my argument. And I'll end it off here. I know I've been ranting a lot, but this is what validates my argument. Stephen A. Smith actually is trying to help the Democratic Party, and because the Democratic Party criticized a black woman, right? Because she says she don't know how to put her foot in her mouth to stop talking. She just finished humiliating herself, making fake accusations about what Republicans were doing with a Jeffrey Epstein. Now she looks dumb, which is what Stephen A. Smith was trying to warn her months ago. But, oh, you hate black women. Oh, you got little D energy. Man was actually trying to help your candidate. A candidate that y'all trying to push. I just talked about this in another video. That y'all trying to push in 2028 to be a VP to AOC. And he's giving her constructive criticism. And y'all took that as him bashing her. This is what happens when you got a group of people that buy into this victim mentality. This is why I said that the victimhood mentality is holding back black people. Jasmine Crockett could have been a very influential person in Democratic politics, but what's holding her back? How she carries herself, how she articulates herself, how she presents her message, her overly focus on white supremacy and these nonsensical things, these exaggerations of her imagination, and try to project that like reality. Those things are holding her back, hurting her political image and brand. A black man speak on it called Stephen A. Smith, and he gets crucified in the comment section. He gets crucified by black culture to the point that he apologizes. And then months after that happened, she does this, and look at her. Now look at her. Now no one can take her serious now. I mean, I haven't been taking her serious for the very beginning, but hey, now her credibility is a little hurt there now. She looks a little humiliated now. She has to walk humble now a little bit, at least for now. She'll get back to her usual groove after this stuff blows over, but this is what I'm talking about. 2026 coming up, and you think, I don't know, man. I just think people want to believe what they want to believe, and they'll hold on to anything that even justifies that conclusion, no matter how little the probability of it being validated as true. But I digress. Let me know your thoughts and perspective in the comment section below. Do you agree with me? I think it's hard not to. I think so. I'm biased here, but I think it's hard not to agree that I think the Democrats regret this. Let me know your thoughts and perspective in the comment section below. I'll be interested to hear what you guys have to say. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share this video if you feel so inclined. It really does help me out in the algorithm, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.